Okay, we'll kick it off. All right. Well, everyone, thank you. Merci for joining this session. We started these info sessions, the first virtual event, and it became a habit every year now. So we're 3 years in a row, and I think the sessions are appreciated. So we're happy to repeat. And I'm going to say it in English. This session will be, as we say, en franglais in English and French. So do not hesitate, obviously, to voice yourself via the chat. Should there be something that's said in either language that needs to be repeated. Donc, cette session va être en français et en anglais. Last week, we ran a webinar as such, but it was geared towards the coureurs des bois.
Exactly.
While this session tonight is geared towards les randonneurs, the tours, the half marathons, and la section de j'accroche aussi.
Tasters.
The taster. Merci. Thank you.
You want to just cover briefly that, or maybe I'll say it in English, that if anyone throughout this session has a question, please put it in the Q&A. While Sylvain is making the presentation, I'll be monitoring it. I may answer you directly, or I may say it out loud to Sylvain to deal with for everyone's benefit. And if you just have comments generally along the way, feel free to use the chat function for that. And we have disabled raising hands so that we'll stay to the Q&A and chat boxes. Oh, and
also this session is being recorded as we speak. Donc la session est en enregistrement présentement. All right. Little introductions. First of all, full disclaimer here. An hour ago, I didn't know I was doing this session. It was supposed to be hosted by Réal Perriard, which is the acting president of the board of the CSM. Réal has not been well for the past 7, 8, 9 days. So I parachuted myself to support this in the place of Réal. Donc, je connais le sujet, évidemment, mais toutes les diapos qu'on va utiliser ont été bâties par Réal, so there might be some hesitation in certain areas because the content was built by Réal. I'm Sylvain Parent. I currently act as acting treasurer of the CSM. For this first year as the treasurer, I was the president of the board for 3 years, and then Réal took over. So that's for myself. I'm Montreal based. And Chris, little intro.
Yeah, I'm Chris Terron, in Ottawa based, been on the board for I think 4 or 5 years, but have been involved in the marathon as a volunteer for over 20 years. And so I see the event from a very different side. And because I work all weekend in the event, I've never had the opportunity to ski it. I ski every other weekend and weekdays, but not the event.
Good stuff. So on that note, let's begin. I will share my screen, and this is meant to be conversational for the most part. I will use the PowerPoint content to steer the content. And again, please do not shy away from commenting in the chat or asking questions in the Q&A. And Chris, tu me laisses savoir si j'oublie des choses, s'il te plaît.
Oui.
Is this the right deck? Tour webinar, oui. I am not seeing, I lost this. I'm only seeing my PowerPoint. Is there a way to see also? Hey, so Chris, I'm not going to be able to see the chat or anything like that the way I'm set up right now, FYI.
Don't worry, I'm answering questions already that I know will be covered during the session.
Parfait, merci. OK. Donc, édition 2023, randonneur et demi-marathon est le sujet principal. Pour nous mettre dans l'ambiance un peu, the CSM, we pride ourselves for not being a race. So if there's newcomers to the CSM and you're thinking of making this a race for yourself, I mean, you can always do that. But know that we will not publish the fact that you finished first or last. It is geared to be a ski adventure for everyone, little ones to big ones, and everything in between. And we like to pride ourselves to following the footsteps of the great legend Johansson Jackrabbit. We'd like to keep that theme of faites partie de la légende. Donc voilà. Et puis ici là, c'est Monsieur Jackrabbit pour ceux qui sont pas familiers avec lui.
So I just need to interrupt for a second. You're not sharing your screen yet.
Look
But
at
in the
this.
meantime, we have the benefit of a third person you can introduce.
Oh, Jillian is with us.
Yes.
Bonjour, Jillian.
Bonjour, désolé, I had a little bit of computer trouble. So happy to be here.
That's happy to have you. And Jillian, un peu d'introduction, ce que tu fais pour le CSM, s'il te plaît?
Alors moi, ça fait 3 ans que je fais partie du CA. I've been 3 years. This is my 3rd year on the board of directors. Je suis chef de l'équipe des ambassadeurs, des ambassadrices et aussi de la promotion du marathon. So I am taking charge of the ambassador program and the overall promotion, the team that looks at the promotion of the CSM.
And Jillian has been an awesome addition to the CSM board, and she's taken the ambassador program to the next level. I'll leave it at that. For everyone's benefit, the CSM is 10 people strong as we speak. We will be reaching out to add 2 board members. Our bylaws allow for 12 board members. So if you want to give back, look out for the notice on that and put your name in the hat, please. This event is not possible without volunteers such as, well, many volunteers such as the board and many others. All right. Next slide. Hey, on est très heureux cette année de notre thème. The theme this year, finally back at home, de retour à la maison. It was quite rewarding putting the mechanics together to go back to in situ en présentiel, and the feedback we're getting right, left, and center. So the ski marathon is about skiing as a community in the Lower Laurentians, Montebello region, and we like our team finally back at home. Just a side note, you've probably seen the communications, les communications qui introduit aussi un deuxième volet au marathon canadien de ski, qui est le Canadian Ski Challenge, le défi canadien de ski. That's a result of the popularity of the virtual event, which we had to unfortunately run for 2 years. But there needs to be a clear separation between the 2 events. The Défi Canadien de Ski has its own set of awards, and it is not, and by no means, to replace the accomplishments of the in situ event. Pardon me. Special measures and special times. We did run the virtual and allowed the awards, les récompenses, to be applicable. But yeah, those virtual events are gone. Canadian Ski Challenge, please. And the ski challenge is for the whole winter. Go have fun, introduce new people to skiing, make it, introduce the Canadian Ski Marathon in the process, etc., etc. But please be clear that it is a separate event from the Canadian Ski Marathon. Chris, do you see questions towards that right now?
No.
Merci. And speaking of the promotions team, which Jillian is part of, we're also très heureux et très proud to have launched our new website. And I say yes, a new website, because it was a bit time. Yeah, the imagery, the look and feel of the other website, which is no longer accessible, obviously at its days. and we're on to a new generation of website. I need to mention that we are launching it in various phases. If anyone listening to us right now has been involved into building a website, yes, we contracted an organization to build it for us, but trust us that it's a heavy lift from a content management standpoint, and the whole board is contributing towards that. So we launched what was absolutely necessary to launch the registrations, and we will continue to populate the website. Jillian, I think there's 3 phases that we're working towards to have a complete website eventually. Am I mistaken?
That is correct. The rollout is slowly but surely happening. So I think we have 2 phases left. Hopefully the completion will be around the same time that our results come out from the in situ event.
Merci. Et puis ici, on voit juste, vous avez sûrement tous déjà allé sur le nouveau site web. N'hésitez pas à, a couple of notes on this, ne pas hésiter à nous envoyer si vous voyez des erreurs dans le site. If you find errors, please, I think there's a form for that, Jillian. Yeah.
Not available quite yet, but soon.
Yeah, and be patient with us. It's not fully complete, but yeah, we hope you like it. Your feedback is welcome. Okay, now into the meat of things. Oh, so full disclosure, right? I was parachuted into this, and I haven't had a chance to review all of the. So it might be grammatical errors, especially in French. Nos excuses si vous voyez des erreurs grammaticales en français et tout ça. J'en vois une déjà à gestion. Donc, merci là, de comprendre la situation, et ainsi de suite. Donc, ce qu'on va couvrir aujourd'hui, what we'll cover today is, registration is now open. J'espère que vous êtes tous déjà enregistrés. Si vous ne l'êtes pas, allez-y de l'avant, s'il vous plaît. Et puis, invitez vos amis, vos familles, vos voisins d'en face, d'à côté, et tout ça. On a besoin d'inscription. This event is viable from a financial standpoint if we have a critical mass. And we built a balanced budget. There's a lot, il y a beaucoup de unknowns, right? When you restart an event, you haven't done it in two years. Inflation, blah, blah, blah. So there's lots of unknowns. We need critical mass. Please come en masse to register, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the little segment on inscription. We're going to talk about la logistique, comment ça marche. Some are newcomers to the ski marathon, so it's great. You register, and then, okay, what do I do come weekend time? Hopefully today, this session tonight will demystify some or enough of it so you're not intimidated. On va parler du parcours, les différents dénivelés, et quelle route on a choisi, which legs, because we now have 3 segments that we have access to from the ski marathon. We'll illustrate that via the map in a little bit. And on va parler des points de contrôle, le ravitaillement, les services de fartage. And you will see often in this presentation that, yes, we do have a skier's guide. Nous avons un guide du skieur. To our disappointment, I'll say it this way, it doesn't get read enough. So we invite you, we urge you to spend time in a skier's guide. It's full of information. And then once you've done that and you're in doubt, absolutely, we're there for you. There's an email with great support from Marianne and Gaston that were added to the team 2 years ago, last year, and they're excellent. So do not hesitate to call in, but first, please utilize the skier's guide. Chris, am I stressing the skier's guide enough?
Perfect. Now, we know it's not out yet. It will not be out until sometime in January, but it contains critical information, especially about the timing of events during the day, when you have to be somewhere to catch a bus, when the checkpoints open and close, and so on. We'll cover that tonight, but you'll have all that in writing in the skier's guide.
Ouais, c'est vrai. Le guide du cœur n'est pas disponible encore. Là, il va être disponible sur le site web et vous allez recevoir un courriel, un email vous indiquant que le guide du cœur est disponible avec le lien pour vous y rendre. I think that's it on this slide. La prochaine. Oh, did I mention that we'd stress skier's guide? Next one. Okay, so you've heard about the CSM. You're from your front door neighbor, your local ski club that you go to, and you've seen the hats, you've seen this. You got curious whether through COVID or just recently, and you've registered. And you've picked your skiing category that you want to. Now you got to plan your weekend, right? Il faut planifier le déroulement de votre week-end du MCS. Les hébergements et les repas, la logistique pour vous, de voyage personnel pour vous rendre sur le site. Donc, c'est ce qu'on va jaser là, dans la prochaine 8:20, looking at time. I want to be mindful of time. Chris and Jillian, please help me with that. And what is the next? So we will go back here. So as a non-coureur des bois, you have three categories, you have options, you have three category options. We'll start from le toureur, the randonneur tour. For those that are in doubt, that category allows a skier to ski any and as many sections of the CSM on both days. The CSM on both days is 5 sections per day, 5 sections par jour. Un randonneur a l'option de choisir son point de départ dans les 5 sections et de skier les sections en avant de lui les 2 jours qui va du week-end finalement. So that's the tour.
So can you advance 2 slides?
Ah, merci. So this slide here that I'm showing speaks of the different categories, and we've talked about the tour section. More flexibility. You select your starting section, and then you ski forward from there. You can start at section 2 and exit at section the end of section 4, 2 to 5, 1 to 3. One thing that you cannot do, and it's been asked every year, you cannot do section 1 and then go jump to section 5. Technically you can, but you have to bus back to Montebello and then catch a shuttle bus back. So logistically, highly unlikely that you would have the time nor the desire to do that. Chris, on the tour section, am I forgetting anything?
Just one other comment. While you are permitted to do all 5 sections, it is extremely difficult to accomplish that. If you want to do all 5 sections, you really need to be signed up as a coureur de bois, because they are permitted to start 2 hours, more than 2 hours earlier than the tours. There are a few people every year who do all 10 sections as tours, but they ski at incredible speeds.
And we will illustrate the different start times between coureur des bois and non-coureur des bois in a slide, Laura. Thank you for mentioning that, Chris. So if I haven't forgotten anything, and Jillian, s'il te plaît,
I'll add another comment on the half marathoners. They specifically do the last 3 sections as this slide says.
So Chris, allow me, I was just closing on the tours. I was going to go to half marathon. Chris?
Good.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, maybe you thought I was done with the whole slide. No. Donc, la catégorie du demi-marathon. Often, we like to say that this is to give a taste of those skiers that have an eye on the Coureur des Bois and to give him a feel for what it is to ski long distances two days in a row. So roughly speaking, the 2 days are 45 kilometers each. Actually, I trust the first day this year will be 42 kilometers and day 2 will be 47 kilometers because not all sections are of equal distances. And the half marathon, as Chris has started to mention, you do ski the last 3 sections of each day. So those are the particularities of the half marathon, the demi-marathon.
There's another really important feature of the half marathon. You're not permitted to start the half marathon whenever you please. As a tour, any other tour can start whenever and wherever they want. Half marathoners start at a specific time. They take a specific bus from Papineauville or Montebello, and the intention there is to limit their time on the trail so that they need to ski at speeds that are similar to a Coureur des Bois. So I think it starts at 11:15.
And I believe we have a slide that illustrates that, but very good point, Chris. And then the other section that's accessible, available, that is non-Coureur des Bois. And just in case some of you are not familiar with Coureur des Bois, which I've mentioned a few times already, the Coureur des Bois, it's the full 160 kilometers, 80 plus 80 on both days. And yeah, so there are people that skiers that want to give it a go. And within the Coureur des Bois, there's 3 categories which I will not get into at this time, but just a quick note on Coureur des Bois category. So tasters is an intro to the CSM in the beautiful region on site. You mingle with the tours, the half marathoners, the little families that go there, the young ski clubs from the Otto region and the Laurentians, and you do also mingle with the Coureur des Bois, some with backpacks that have slept overnight from Saturday to Sunday, and then you can, if you ski behind them, you can smell them when you get into close proximity because of the fires overnight and all that. So it's interesting, quite particular. And then there's also Coureur des Bois that don't have packs that are working potentially towards their goals and so on and so forth. So what we're hoping with the taster category is that tu y touches et en français, tu t'accroches. Tu t'accroches et tu veux retourner, tu veux essayer après ça le tour ou le half, et puis éventuellement, si ça vous le dit, ça vous chante, you can make your attempts at Coureur des Bois. But all of that is one big community of people that enjoy nature, enjoy the outdoors, enjoy skiing, and healthy lifestyle, whether a Coureur des Bois or a young taster of 8 years old skiing with mom or dad or both, and so on. So all share the same trail and in respect of each other.
I'll add one thing, Sylvain. You've already educated some people on this session. And one skier in particular realizes now that he has signed up for the wrong category. I've already answered his question on offline, but it is very easy for you to change categories. You cannot do it by going back into zone 4. You need to send an email to the office or me if you know my address. I posted it already, and we'll be happy to change your category.
Just curious, Chris, does the person say from what to what?
Yeah, he wants to elevate to Coureur des Bois.
Got it. Good. Welcome to Coureur des Bois, Mr. or Madame. All right. So I think if there's no other questions, or Chris and Jillian, j'ai pas rien oublié. je vais aller à la prochaine slide. I'm just gonna. What did I skip over, Chris?
The bus schedule was put in the slides in the wrong place.
So this is the one we want now, eh?
It could be.
Hold on. Yeah. We're going to talk about all that. Yeah. So this is all right. So you're registered, you're planning a weekend, you need to get to destination, which is the Montebello area, right? Which is where, which is the central point of the 2 days. Obviously, the start of day one is elsewhere. While the start of day two is right there, downtown Papineauville, Montebello, should I say. But before you can start on the Saturday morning, you need to get to the region. Some people will drive the morning of and then catch a shuttle bus within the Montebello village to be taken to the start point of their choice. And other people will use the shuttle buses that we offer, donc les bus nolisés qu'on offre de certaines régions, évidemment. And this chart here shows where the buses, the chartered buses leave from. So one leaves from Gatineau, you've got the time there, and it will go to the dorm in Papineauville, it will go to Château Montebello, and then it will go all the way to the lower Tremblant area for a dorm that is reserved for gold coureurs des bois. So know that you can use the charter buses. There's one that leaves from Montreal. And I trust it goes via the Chute. Yes, it goes via the Chute, and then destinations are again Montebello, Papineau, and etc. There are there's also one. The last one is from the Toronto area. It's got the place it leaves from. It stops in Barrie, Vaughan, Scarborough, and Kingston. So if you have a need, if you've got questions, do not hesitate to write an email, call the office, and they will inform you on those charter buses. Chris, do you see any inquiries in the chat? Any questions?
Apologies, I'm barely listening to you as I'm full-time typing questions, answers to questions on the Q&A. And I'll raise them if I think later they're of general interest to everyone.
D'accord, merci. Et puis, juste mentionner que ces autobus-là, évidemment, il y a des frais associés à utiliser les bus nolisés. All right, let me go back one slide. Personal travel logistics. Voilà. Sachez que some people come to the morning of, and they'll be dropped off at the start of various sections. You need to know that some of those areas start, we're all in the woods, right? Donc, certains de des checkpoints, des points de contrôle, the start of those sections can be challenging to access. So you need to plan it right. And you may not be able to get to right at the start because some areas are tight and we have the shuttle buses that go in and out, et cetera. So just be aware. Everything's manageable, but just be aware. Obviously, you should favor taking the shuttle buses to the start from the Montebello village. Okay. J'accroche, we've covered that. Ah, j'ai déjà parlé, d'accord. Donc, j'ai parlé des autobus nolisés, Montréal, Ottawa, Toronto. Donc, l'hébergement de disponible sur place là-bas, bien, on peut le faire de plusieurs façons. Le plus économiquement possible, c'est d'utiliser le dortoir, qui en soi is an experience. So you're in a gym shared by fellow skiers, and you've got access to showers. There are meals available for purchase over there as well, or you can bring your own nourriture, etc., etc. So there's or you can obviously utilize the restaurant network in the region, Papineauville and Montebello. The other choice of hébergement, of comment on dit hébergement en anglais? Other places to stay. The other extreme from the dortoir, the gym floor, is the Chateau Montebello. It comes at a different cost than the dortoir, and then in between there's motels and hotels. There's not a ton in the region. If you're new to the area, there's not a ton, so you need to plan that very, very rapidly. There are more and more Airbnb available in the region as well. So advice, if you do plan to go stay in the region and not use the dorm, start looking to the suite right now for your resident. I believe we have a list of accommodations available in the area, if not yet populated on the website. Chris, remind me, and Jillian, to speak to Marianne and Gaston to see if they do have a list available to share with people should they call in. J'oublie quelque chose sur les hébergements, Jillian. Chris, you're probably busy answering questions in chat. Then I will move on to just to say that all the addresses, what do we mean by all the addresses? Addresses of all the checkpoints, addresses of the start, addresses of the finish out in Buckingham, etc. All those addresses will be published in the skier's guide. Did we mention we had a skier's guide? Just kidding. Donc, toutes les adresses là, vont être évidemment incluses dans le guide du skieur et sur le site web via le guide du skieur. All right. I don't think I forgot anything there. If so, someone remind me. What's next? Haha. The map. And we can easily spend a fair bit of time on this here, and we will. So earlier I mentioned that we now have 3 segments of this Canadian Ski Marathon that we have access to. I'll refer to it as to the northern section. So this being north, down here being south. If you look to this way, this is west. And going this way is going east. East is towards Les Chutes, which is and then west is obviously going towards Gatineau, but we don't reach Gatineau. We go all the way to Buckingham. While the northern section, which we introduced some 7 years ago, 6-7 years ago, to give us options as population gets dense in certain areas and snow conditions, we wanted to develop an option going north to south. And we've used that segment the last 4 years, if I've got it right, of the in situ. Obviously not the last 2 years because we're virtual, but the last 4 years, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but the last 4 years of the in situ, last 3 years, I should say, of the in situ, we're using the northern segment and then going east to Les Chutes.
The last time we used the western section was 2017. It's a long time ago.
Correct. So why are we going west this year? Various reasons. One, we need to reestablish a connection with the community, the landowners. And if you haven't been on a trail segment for a number of years, it's costly to reopen it, et cetera, et cetera. And in all transparency, there is an area going east to La Chute, where we don't have access in 2023, and we have to reestablish a relationship with a large landowner in the region. So added to the other reasons, this year we are going west, and in itself, for newcomers to the CSM, or new skiers in the Coureurs des Bois making their first attempt, or you were successful in doing à faire le Coureurs des Bois bronze, ensuite l'argent durant le virtuel. The western section is a tad to a fair bit more permissive, or not permissive, I should say it this way, easier, less challenging than the eastern section. So in a year where we are reintroducing the in situ, and we'll have some skiers that, and we're very much aware of this, skiers that did their 150, 140 2 years ago at the trail of their choice, on the weekend of their choice, conditions probably a bit more optimized than what you may get during the CSM, because the weather you get during CSM weekend is the weather that you get. For those of you that have been around the CSM for quite some time, on a eu des années de verglas, des années trop chaudes, des années beaucoup trop froides, des années trop de neige, des années pas assez de neige. So when you register for the CSM, it is set for the weekend, and you get what Mother Nature delivers that weekend, which in itself makes it as part of the adventure. So the timing of going east, given we've been away, et cetera, and potentially new skier discovering 160 kilometers over 2 days, the fact that we're going to ski an easier section on day 2 is probably a positive thing for 23. So now that I've talked about the 3 segments, let's break down the day 1, the 5 sections of day 1. So obviously 1 to 2 is first section, 2 to 3, et cetera, et cetera. At each of the checkpoints, there is safety. There is a shuttle bus there, a warm shuttle bus there for people in need that need to exit or to just plan to do the first section. The ravitaillements, so food and liquids are available there. And a bunch of volunteers that you should cherish. We all cherish. Overall, it's 300 plus volunteers at the CSM that are there to help you and serve you, service you if you want. There's also the fartage, waxing stations, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a fully contained checkpoint. Now, if you have specific needs from a liquids and food standpoint, obviously we do suggest that you also carry some of your own, but know that there's ravitaillement available. In long sections, such as the 23.2 long section here, we do have a water point. Is it water and safety, Chris?
Yes.
Thank you. Water and safety in pretty much try to make it in the middle, but it's usually a road crossing, etc. So there is water and safety, and then again full checkpoint at the end of section 2, full checkpoint is section 4 with a water point in the middle. And then the last section also has a water point in the middle of the section. Now, these sections are various difficulties. In the skier's guide, we do publish a description of the section itself, and avec un rating de difficile à intermédiaire, facile, intermédiaire, et difficile. Obviously, all subjective, right? What might be easy for Réal Perriard, our standing president, which has done 35, I believe, completed 35 Coureurs des Bois. What might be easy for him might be intermediate for someone else, etc., etc. So you need to inform yourself and yeah, take decisions based on your knowledge. Talk to people if you're hesitating. On a des ambassadeurs qui peuvent jaser avec vous, faire des recommandations. You know, the idea is not to intimidate you, but to give you a good experience, a challenging experience, but by all means, safety first. Je prends une pause. Jillian, Chris, any input on la première journée?
Sorry, I like when you mention my name if you need my attention. Otherwise, I'm full-time typing answers.
Yeah, you probably didn't, not fun, but I think I covered what needed to be covered about day one.
Or at least you have a good map to use.
So, you know, il faut donner le crédit à celui qui lui revient. Toutes les cartes, Chris fait beaucoup pour le marathon canadien de ski. Super volunteer, and he's behind all those great maps that we're looking at right now, and works very closely with our groomer to redirect certain areas and so on and so forth. So Chris, merci beaucoup pour tout ce que tu fais au nom de la communauté du MCS. Now, we will illustrate, although it's not a race, there is an element of time for those that want to do the last section, and we'll illustrate that. On va montrer ça, l'élément de temps limite là, sur la dernière section. Fait qu'on va le montrer un peu plus tard. Là. What time is it? Quelle heure? Ouh. On parle de la deuxième journée. C'est très similaire à la journée 1, un peu plus facile au niveau du ski. 5 sections, différentes longueurs, avec des points d'eau au milieu de chacune des sections pour la journée 2. Chris, last chance for you to mention anything on the map. Else, pardon me, I'm going to move
Maybe
on.
you've covered that, and I think it's coming in future slides, but for those who want more detail, on the website soon, there will be detailed maps for each section, as well as elevation profiles for each section.
So I think we've, let me check here. I'll ask you. This is a slide from Réal. Et puis ça dit ce que Chris a mentionné. He wanted to give his personal insights into the Western section. So, en 2017, la dernière fois qu'on l'a utilisé, Réal l'a skié 12 fois à travers les années. C'est un ski moins technique, plus facile. Les montées et les descentes sont plus douces. Ce qui peut être un défi, et puis je me souviens pertinemment les 2 fois que j'ai fait la section de l'Ouest, le vent, étant donné que c'est plus plat, il y a des régions, there's segments of the Western Trail that are more out in the open. So on a windy day, it can be, and the winds are usually prevalent coming from the west. So it can be in your face. So while it's an easier ski from a difficulty standpoint, the wind may be a factor depending what Mother Nature brings that day. Puis, ouais, typiquement, là, if you've done sections in the north, going west, you shouldn't have much of an issue with any sections going west. Okay, what does this say? Ah, Chris. Ben voilà les trois segments, the Northern Trail, the Western Trail, the Eastern Trail. Ça peut juste illustrer les elevation gains dans tout le parcours au complet. Donc, ça illustre le niveau d'élévation for the Western Trail, you know, just below 1,000 meters, while using the Eastern Trail going to La Chute, it's 1,800 meter of elevation with 3 major climbs. So the folks that are listening that have done the Eastern Trail, you know which section this is. Very, very challenging, but man, is it ever rewarding. And so this comes from Montréal, et tough en maudit, as we say en bon québécois. The Eastern Trail can be tough en maudit is his words. Nothing to add here. The geek data. So, first timers out there, hopefully this session comforts you, the detail that we're sharing. Mais tout le CSM, c'est, you know, c'est là pour avoir du plaisir. When I was a president, I wrote the address in the skier's guide, and you know, it's always challenging to write over it. And I don't know, I thought of the 5 or 6 events I've done, and les histoires, the stories that I heard are my own. And it's, you know, I was proud of that address. It was all about the stories. So every year there's 1,400 to 1,600 unique, different stories that are being written. Most of them are extremely amusing, joyful. There's some sad ones. There's some less fun ones, etc. But that the story is what make people come back to the CSM all the time. Donc venez vous amuser, venez écrire vos propres histoires du MCS. Moi when I went for the first time, the first year, I didn't know much about it. And it just grabbed me. And I say that, but most CSMers, tous les gens du MCS, ça t'accroche et puis tu as de la misère à le quitter. Very quick anecdotes. We have 2 sweetheart stories from the CSM. 2 checkpoint leaders, like 15 years ago, they meet different checkpoints, and then now a couple married. Another sweetheart story from the CSM, yellow bus going to the start. Young boy meets young girl and are married and have kids. So we create couples also at the CSM. So we've talked about les points de contrôle, il y a de la nourriture, il y a des ravitaillements, la boisson, c'est plus, il y a des liquides. Mais on vous recommande d'avoir aussi sur le parcours de supplies d'urgence propres à vous ou à rajouter dans votre backpack pour si vous en avez besoin en avançant. Chaque point de contrôle a une table de fartage. La plupart, sinon tous les points de contrôle ont aussi des volontaires de fartage. On voit de plus en plus de skin skis sur le parcours. Some people say a little less performance, but yet you save a little bit on time, etc. So it's a trade-off. Au niveau du temps, you know, the element of time there, while not a race, there is a cutoff time, and do enjoy the checkpoints. And one of the mistakes I made in a few of my CSMs is spending a bit too much time, especially that I was on an attempt to do the Coureur des Bois, the whole distance. Spending too much time at the checkpoints sometimes will bite you. in the wrong place. Et puis, j'ai manqué le cut-off time, la dernière section, la deuxième journée, par environ 90 secondes. So, a little less time at a checkpoint, and I would have made my time, the cutoff. So, juste une petite note sur, faut gérer son temps aussi si on veut rencontrer le cutoff time de la dernière section. Vous allez rencontrer des petites familles ou amener votre petite famille avec vous, les petits-enfants, les plus grands enfants et tout ça. It's meant to be accessible to all. Everybody, most people, all, except one or two perhaps out of 1,400 might encounter some attitude, but know that 99% of the people are there for the right reasons, have a good time, help each other out. You see someone on track that is stranded. We have a Bon Samaritain, a Good Samaritan cards. Safety first, help your fellow skiers, take care of each other. What time is it? Oh, if you haven't been to the region, you'll be wowed at Lower Laurentians, their whole region, the people. I can't say enough about it. Man, time is, what is this? What is skier package? Yes, so you've registered, you get a bib, you get a chip that will track your ins and outs of the checkpoints, mostly for safety reasons, and also to amount the number of sections that you skied. You get the yearly patch, and by the way, the bibs and the patches are memorabilia items. So many questions. Hey, are we getting our bib back this year? Absolutely, absolutely. You've already chosen, if you registered, you've chosen already where you want to pick up your package, your starting package. If you need to change it for whatever reason, it's an email to info@ski marathon. Know that the value of the chip is $75. We do have volunteers at each of the checkpoints that will prompt you to give back your chip. Please remember yourself. It's very costly to the ski marathon, and you will get an invoice in the mail as well to be charged for the chip. Please return it. They're high value. Je crois que ça couvre ça. Oh, voilà. Tout ça ici, là, c'est pour illustrer this is the bus schedule that will take you to different starting points. Know that there's volunteers at every area, whether it's a shuttle, the dorm, et cetera, that will help you if you're in doubt on how to utilize this chart. Again, we invite you to study it. It'll be made available in the Skier's Guide on the website. But time is running fast here. I'm probably speaking too much, but no time to spend a lot of time on this. It makes sense. It's busy. It makes sense. Study it. Ask questions. We will help you. Next one. This is, and Chris, I think you built that one. So I'm going to give it a shot. Well, actually, it's quite simple. So read this into 3 sections: coureur des bois, demi-marathon, et randonneur. This is the start time for the coureur des bois. They all start at section 1. So 6:30.
No, at the bottom, you'll see the coureur des bois start times by category: 5:40, 5:50, and 6. And the cutoff, the start of the event is closed at 6:30 in the morning for coureur des bois.
Donc les coureurs des bois ne peuvent pas partir après 6h30. Got it. While c'est les départs des différents coureurs des bois ici. Parfait, merci. Day 2. Maintenant, les demi-marathoniens. Donc, si on se souvient bien, c'est les 3 dernières sections de chacune des 2 journées. c'est un départ fixe à 11h15. Donc, le shuttle bus qui va vous amener au départ pour le demi-marathon, il va être évidemment en conséquence pour vous amener au départ de la section 3 pour 11h15, tandis que le day 2 for half marathons, well, you're starting right there in Montebello, therefore you'll be close to the start, 11 to 15 start. Maintenant, tours, randonneurs. So this is the opening of each of the sections. So you can't start section 3 before 8:30, while you can't start section 3 past 1 p.m. Similarly, section 1 as a tourer, section 2 as a tourer, etc., etc. And these are the closing, I mentioned it, closing of the start of the section.
So it's really important to note there, so that the first section closes quite early. You have to be on the trail by 8:15, or you will not be able to start in section 1. You'll have to take a bus back to Papineauville. And the cutoff that really drives people's schedule for the day is that 2 p.m. cutoff for the last two sections. There's one exception to the rule. It's mentioned there. A tourer who has started from section 1 will be given an extra hour and a half grace at the end of section 5 or 10. But most tourers won't have done that. So 2 o'clock is the cutoff time.
Yeah, and you know, and thank you so much for illustrating that, Chris. And the 3:30 p.m. is a definite cutoff for everyone and their friends. And it's a tough one, and I don't want to be the checkpoint lead at that point to cut off skiers that are coming a minute late. But rules are rules. It's for your safety. It's for skiers' safety. Darkness sets in, tired, especially for the cold. They might have skied all day, et cetera, et cetera. But it is a hard cutoff. C'est un cutoff là, qui est sans discussion, et cetera, et cetera. So, unless I've forgotten anything on this slide, Chris, I will move on.
That's it.
Oh, did I mention we have a skier's guide?
Did you plant this slide every second slide?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of humor here, folks, but oui, s'il vous plaît, consultez le guide du skieur, and when in doubt, use us, use info at Ski Marathon and call. We'll be happy to assist you. But too often, though, we have to answer questions that are fairly illustrated, evident in the skier's guide. So just help us out. We all spend a lot of time organizing this event. So if you can help us by, you know, anyway, I've said it enough. I think the next slide is this. Vos questions, merci, your questions, and thank you. You know, I hope, j'espère que le franglais wasn't too hard, too repetitive. We hope it served the purpose. I will open it to Jillian to add any further info, comments. Jillian, tu as des choses à rajouter?
Non.
Comment, je n'étais pas si bon que ça.
I just had a question that was very good, and I gave a misleading answer on those cutoff times. The other exception to the 2 o'clock rule are the half marathoners. They have a 3:30 cutoff both days.
Ah, d'accord. Donc, les demi-marathoniens, le cutoff est aussi à 3h30. Well,
All right, I'll add that. Come join. It's an incredible atmosphere. It's an incredible thing to be a part of, and by far the best weekend of the year, if not of the summer, of the winter.
I'm going to take 30 extra seconds just to share that we need registrations. We put a balanced budget for 1,300 skiers, lots of unknowns. We did have to increase our fees. and we did not increase the fees as much as our costs went up. So we need volume, we need skiers, bring your friends, bring the ones that came 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago and are hesitating. So talk about it, be ambassadors of the CSM yourselves. We're sitting at just shy of 500 registrations, unless you looked recently, Chris, but we need to reach the 1,300 mark. And why not also register the défi canadien de ski? I'll push you to go out with other people, perhaps introduce them to blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. Chris, I will leave.
Yes, I see another question in the chat, and maybe I'm just being lazy, but I think it's I'll answer it not through the chat but through voice here, and I even read to understand the question. Can we leave stuff in Montebello, Papineauville, and get it loaded on a bus for transportation to the finish in Buckingham on day 2? That's a complex question, and I'll try to explain it in simpler terms. Any skier can arrive at a checkpoint with a backpack that they wish to leave at the checkpoint and have transported for them to the back to town. So if you come with a big heavy coat, you can leave it in a bag at the checkpoint. Those bags are taken to both the Papineauville and Chateau Montebello on Friday, and to the high school in Buckingham. Sorry, I said Friday, I meant Saturday, on day 1. And on day 2, all bags are taken to the high school at the finish line in Buckingham. For Cours de Bois, who probably aren't on this call, there is a separate system for their bags to be taken from the dorm to the finish.
So Chris, while I explain it, I just looked at the chats and all that, because I hadn't looked at it since. So thank you so much for all the positive feedback from everyone. Joep, you're a great ambassador there. Thank you for your comments. I recognize a bunch of names there. I really look forward to myself going back on site, but more so to seeing all of you and familiar names and faces and all that jazz. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, for being part of it, and we'll see you. What are the dates? Feb what? 12, 13, 11, 12? You remember, guys?
11, 12, 13.
11, 12, 13. Thank you so much. All right. Anything else to add, Chris, Jillian?
No, I just don't want to close this too fast, as questions are still coming in, though for this moment I have them all answered. And to repeat what we've said already, at the end of the session, if you still have questions that are lingering in your mind, easiest thing is simply email the office, info@skimarathon.ca, and they'll be happy to answer your questions.
And this has been recorded. The recording, I think, will be made available, but if you've sat through this, you don't want to listen to me again for another hour. So I suggest you may not want to go back to the recording, but for your friends and other people that can sit in, I think we'll share it. Is that the intent?
I think so. I'll answer another question that just came in the chat room. When is a reasonable start time for an ambitious tour? Well, as a tour, the earliest you can start either day is 7:30. And I would strongly suggest you start at 7:30, not 7:35, if you're attempting to do all 5 sections both days. It will take a good bit of exercise and good speed to finish all 10 sections or 5 sections each day with that starting time.
And the other option is to upgrade, obviously, your registration to Cours de Bois, which will give you a good hour and
give you 2.5 hour, I think, head start.
Head start. So,
and we'll give you the added experience of starting the ski in the dark with a headlamp,
which is quite fun and unique and interesting, and absolutely.
And there are
All
no,
right.
there's no in betweens. You either start as a coureur de bois and you're on the trail by 6:30, or you start as a tourer, but no sooner than 7:30.
So I'll take, my last words will be, Jillian, thank you for joining and assisting and helping out with this session. Chris, same with you. Merci à vous deux. Et puis, ben, on se voit le week-end du CSM.
Let's hope for great snow, great weather, and we really look forward to seeing everyone in person after a 3-year gap.